I'm Steve.
And I'm Sue.
And we're aging joyfully. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. We'd love for you to do that. And thank you.
And here's Sammi. She loves being with us. Sammi, she's looking for treats right now. But Steve, what are we talking about?
Oh my God, I couldn't believe this article I read this morning. An 80-year-old, she's still working. She's still working at 80 years old. She's an accountant and she's making $50,000 a year. 80. I wanted to work till I was 70, but 80?
She's supplementing her Social Security that is less than $1,800 a month. She said she needs the money. She's been through several divorces. It didn't say how many. But it just got us to thinking, didn't it?
It sure does. And also, it sounded like she had a big heart because she had taken in kids that were abandoned or...
I think they were family members.
Family members. So I think she has a big heart. And it's great that she's working. I mean, staying active, keeping her brain active, that's important.
Taking in those kids led to $70,000 of debt, and that's one reason she has to keep working.
Right.
But I looked up some stats. I have two different sources here, so I'm going to be looking down at my paper. The first is usnews.com. It says that there are 650,000 people as of 2023 working who are over 80 years old.
I never would have thought. I know the economy is not getting better. But I never would have thought there were so many people over 80 still working.
No,
I mean, it's great.
I don't believe 80-year-olds are baby boomers. I believe they're part of the silent generation. And everybody thinks boomers are so full of wealth and money and have no issues. But boomers are the fastest growing homeless population. Right, Sammi? Right.
So Sammy's so excited about being in the video. When you ask her if she wants to be in a video, she runs over here.
She runs up the steps.
Yeah.
Right to here.
She's like, yes, look at me, look at me.
But she also gets...
Look at my ears.
She also gets her treats, which are actually Sierra's dog food. And she doesn't like her dog food. This is only dog food I'm giving her. It's not treats.
Yeah, it's dog food.
So what were we saying?
We were saying that 80-year-olds, the large number of 80-year-olds that are working today, 80 and over.
And that's increasing. That's going to go up that has increased 18% over the last decade, but it's going to grow another 12% by 2030.
Ooh.
Okay, another source I found is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Say by 2033, 1 in 4 will be over 55 years of age, which 55 is still very young.
Yeah.
But that is an increase from 2003, where it was 15% were 55 and older. The states that have the largest percents of elderly workers are Delaware at 31%,
The first state.
Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, and Hawaii. Now, these are states that also have, except for Hawaii, the northeastern states have a larger population. So these northeastern states are not only more expensive, but they also have a larger elderly population, and that's why they could have a larger group of older workers. My sister was telling me since Steve lost his job, we should move to Chicago. And she said there's a ton of older workers. Everybody's older. There's no young workers anymore. I pointed out to her that Illinois is part of the Rust Belt where everybody has left the state to move down south because of the cost of living and no jobs. And she said, oh, Illinois is growing. I did fact check her and found that Illinois did grow last year, but it was the result of the migrants who were bussed in. And I said, that doesn't quite count when these people were forced with no say, put on buses and planes and sent to Chicago, that they didn't have a say of going there. And if you check next year, I'm sure the same people who were bussed in are no longer there, as a lot of migrants have been forced out of the country. Georgia, where we live, is in fact the fifth greatest increase in the number of older workers. People have flooded Georgia through the years thinking that it is a cheap cost of living state. It has become. Georgia is one of the fastest growing states, which has caused our apartments to go up greatly. Most of them are corporate owned now. When Steve and I looked at apartments, a 2-bedroom was roughly 2,000. No, I'm sorry, that was a 1-bedroom. The 2-bedroom was closer to 3,000. It is so hard to find any affordable housing here. And who has 2 or 3,000 for an apartment? Well, I got to thinking maybe we should move to Chicago, and we looked up at rents there, and actually you could get a 2-bedroom for about 2,000. For one, the apartments are older and they're not corporate owned. They're probably paid off because they are 30 or 40 years old, where a lot of things in Atlanta are brand new because of the tremendous growth we've had over the last 30 years or so. So apartments here are very unaffordable. So yes, property taxes may be cheaper than Illinois. As a matter of fact, many of our counties do have a property tax break for people over 65 or 70. It varies. You have to look. It's per county. I believe we have 159 counties in Georgia. It's a huge number of counties. So we do have some tax breaks. We also have breaks on Georgia state tax when you're over 65, 65,000 of your income, a non-income, retirement income, or 10,000 of earned income, or interest, pension, Social Security is exempt from paying taxes. If you're 62, it is 35,000 and up. So we do have a lot of tax advantages, but Georgia is not the cheap state. Everybody comes flocking here for it, and they're shocked when they find out that it's pretty costly to live in Metro Atlanta. And if you're not in Metro Atlanta, there are no jobs, and the rural hospitals are all shutting down. So if you're not in Metro Atlanta, you're not going to have much of a quality of life.
Right.
Georgia.
Now, just remember, Metro Atlanta makes up 28 counties. 28 counties make up Metro Atlanta.
Georgia is also always listed as one of the worst places to retire for health-wise issues, that we have the many uninsured people because we didn't expand Medicaid, and also whatever. I didn't get into all the details, but it said as you age, it is one of the worst states to retire health-wise.
Right. And just keep in mind that Georgia, the hospitals are not the best. Not all of them are the best. There's only one trauma center, one A trauma center.
You're talking about Grady.
Grady Hospital in downtown Atlanta is the only #1 trauma hospital. They really need to have more trauma hospitals.
For the population here in particular.
Yeah, and outside of the city. Because that means that if an serious accident happens on the interstate, north or south, east or west of the city, the person has to be life flighted to Grady Hospital in downtown.
Well, we had those shootings at Appalachia High School in Barrow County, which is far east of Atlanta. And I think those people were sent to Grady. So yeah, there are school shootings. I think that's one of the...
Yeah, that's one of the big ones. And also, you have to consider that. I mean, if you're older, then you're going to need doctors in a hospital at some point. And chances are you're not going to live in the city anyway, unless you're going to live in an apartment and pay the high rent to be in the city.
Back to older people working. Steve had always hoped to work till 70 because the Great Recession hurt us greatly. He didn't want to work till 70, but we thought financially we would need to. He lost his job at 66, and I've been studying retirement ideas, how to retire for years, and they said that health-wise you may not be able to work till 70 because of your health. Steve is in excellent health, but to cut costs, the company did lay him off. So right now, Steve is looking actively for a job. We're not seeing anybody getting jobs. Well, that's not true. I mean, people we've known who've lost jobs within the last year have found jobs. But I think the last 3 months in particular, May, June, and July, have been particularly brutal.
Right. Definitely have been brutal. I mean, there's a lot of job postings. But postings, I think, are up for various reasons, but I don't think one of the reasons is to hire people. So, it's going to be a tough summer. Hopefully it'll be over quickly, because as you know, it's very hot in Atlanta. And once it's over, the hiring may start. Who knows? Who knows? If you know, please comment.
I don't feel as confident as Steve with getting a job because it just reminds me too much of 2008. And that was a horrendous time. And back then he was 49 when he lost his job, because most people do lose their job. I believe there's a cutoff at 50 with health insurance that really goes up so much exponentially that companies lay everybody off at 49. Also, we believe 49 is old. So now to see this 80-year-old working in accounting was shocking because so many people do lose their jobs at 49. I couldn't believe that she was able to find and keep a job at 80. We do have a neighbor who is 75 who is working in accounting, who works 2 to 3 days a week. And I was shocked, and I actually asked her, I thought she was just doing it just to keep busy, but it actually turns out she does need the money. Her husband did lose jobs through the years, and they were not in a good position to retire. I've met several older people who are working. When we went to our nephew's wedding, there was a woman there in her 70s who was working. And I did ask her too. Now she was living down Warner Robins, which is a very affordable city. And she didn't need the money, but actually she did. She had 2 husbands die of cancer, and she told us about how expensive that is. And then I met a man who was in his 70s when I did taxes years ago. And I asked him too if he needed to be working, because I'm curious, are you working for fun or for money? Well, people have pride and they don't want to admit they're working for money, but actually he was working a job at Sears full time and got his retirement, and his wife was on disability, but he was actually working for the money as well. So people in their 70s who are working, well, Steve's brother is still working at 74. Our brother-in-law, who's 73, almost 74, is still working. So yeah, people are working basically for the money. Yeah, you could say it's for socialization, to get out, but I mean, I don't know. 1 or 2 days might be nice.
Yeah.
But to have to do that at 80,
I don't know. It's kind of tough.
well, it seems sad to me. It seems sad that the wealthiest country in the world is having people work in their 80s, and that this number is only going to increase. I mean, I know our president's 79. He's working at 79. And our ex-president was, 81? Was he 81 when he...
I think so.
So yeah, there are people working in their 80s.
Yeah, there sure are. And I mean, it can keep you being active like that and using your mind. I don't think is a bad thing. I think that at some point you have to say, okay, when is it me time? When is, my days for me? When can I do what I want to do in my life?
Steve's mother also worked until 75 after Steve's father died when he was only, how old was he?
55.
4 or 5. That was a shock, and that they weren't prepared for that at all, because then I guess he didn't get a pension. He should have been getting a pension, but I guess he didn't get one after dying. I don't know the details. I never met him, but she worked to 75. But I don't know that that would helped her mentally, because she did have Alzheimer's, and I believe she had it at that time. So I don't think working prevented Alzheimer's. They say that keeping your brain active prevents it, but I believe it's things in your brain that now they're saying microplastics in your brain or blockage or whatever. It's kind of putting the fault on the person again for having illness. So we just really wanted to talk about the sad state of economy that people are working, and this isn't a new thing. This has been going on for, I don't know, I guess probably the last 20 or so years that people are working till their 80s. So look out for our other videos. We'll put the links in the description. And until we see you again,
take it easy.